This was the summer that had everything. We had the good, like England's performance against Mexico. We had the bad, which is England's performance against virtually anybody else. We had the ugly hydration breaks. We also had a Cape Verde goalkeeper with a twist.
The ugly, hold on, you missed Argentina, no?
The Cape Verde goalkeeper with a twist. We also had Norwegians banging drums on escalators. We had FIFA being the RG's 12th man. And we even had a US president overturning a footballer's suspension. Yes, this really was the summer with everything. But there's one person who barely noticed any of it because he had more important things to do. He had a 26-27 model to update. He was in his cocoon, waiting, praying for the return of Premier League football. And now he's about to be my co-pilot for a third year running. He is Lucas Dzinski. Mate, we are back.
Hey, you've bigged me up so much. I hope I can deliver this season as I always do.
Well, let's hold the fire there. I said that you've done a lot of prep. I didn't say you're any good.
Well, prep's half the work, isn't it?
Agree.
The rest goes down to the results.
Prepare to fail, 100%. Look, just before we dive into the meat of why we're here, on England at the World Cup, I mean, you know, obviously they appointed a world-class manager in Tuchel, but off the back of the overall performance, as I said, world-class, but off the back of the performance, should Tuchel stay or should he go now?
I think it was a big error on the FA that they extended his contract when they qualified. I know there was like a bit of talk about, you know, him taking another job, etc. So that's why they extended it beyond the World Cup. Yep. He should have had the World Cup, see how he done, and then reassess. But again, as the FA have always done, they've made some terrible decisions. And yeah, look, the way the World Cup turned out, like I would have got rid of him. And there was even talk about Pep being keen.
Yeah, I agree with everything.
How amazing would that be? I think that would have been a perfect match.
And there's no doubt Tuchel played the FA because the clubs like United were potentially out of a manager and things like that. But bottom line, from my two pennyworth, I think that Southgate would have got knocked out at the same stage. Right, I don't think that Tuchel's taken them further than Southgate would have done. So, yeah, it's definitely disappointing that contract was signed before, and maybe it's just another England golden generation now that's gone to waste. Anyway, on with things. We're heading towards the Premier League. This is your official Premier League preview show. We're going to be discussing the title race. We're going to be discussing Champions League. We're going to be looking at the relegation dogfight. And trust me, there's a lot of teams that are going to be involved in that this year. We also might just visit one of Lucas's favourite things in the world, which is the pre-season handicap market. So we're going to cover absolutely everything. We're here for you across the board, just like the Stakehouse will be here for you all season long. Here we go, Lucas. Who are going to be the 2027 Premier League champions?
I think it's clearer now that it's going to be Arsenal. It pains me to say it, to be honest. There's a few reasons for that. First of all, City, they've just lost Rodri. Look, I know he's been a bit, you know, injury prone and stuff like that, but he's such a big, important player for him. Pep's gone as well. That's a huge look. Whenever you look at like season, like end of season stats, like ratings and how you're going to go in the new season, you have to make some adjustments. And like Pep is a huge adjustment. Maresca's just not the same caliber manager, and you have to make a big adjustment. Arsenal, on the other hand, they've done some really good business. I think they've signed some good players, and they're going into this new season not a weakened team, but if anything, a stronger team, I'd say. Like I said, it pains me to say it. The only other team that could contend there for like that spot is probably Chelsea, a bit of a dark horse. Alonso coming in is quite big. Hopefully, he can sort that team out a bit. But yeah, I can't see basically City winning it.
I think that Arsenal win the league by 10 clear points.
I mean, I hope that doesn't happen, but let's see.
I just think everything you said was absolutely bang on. And I think one really crucial thing to add into that is Arsenal now have the monkey off their back. Like, that is so significant. United early 90s, when they finally got the monkey off their back, they then dominated. And Arsenal
Yep.
are getting better and better in a season where everyone else is arguably getting worse. And I think they can take full advantage. I think they'll play more open, expansive football this year as well. I don't think they'll be the same defensively nitty side that they were in the last year. Because I think last year, ultimately, they should have won it by more than they did. And I think this year they can go on and win at a canter. In terms of City, there's going to be huge drop-off from Guardiola. Huge. I mean, Maresca is just not on the same planet. I think
I mean, they might even get relegated. Who knows?
well,
Or docked points.
well, I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it could happen, right? You got to factor that in.
It's something to certainly consider with the Champions League race, absolutely. In terms of the other clubs, I think Chelsea have done a lot right, actually. And, Alonso was a bit of brilliant work by the board. And I think they've made one of the signings of the summer in Maxence Lacroix. I think he's absolutely underrated in terms of what he can bring stability-wise. He's a leader. He's an excellent centre-back. So I don't think that should be underestimated. But again, Liverpool, way too much to figure out. They've been quiet in the transfer window as well. Like, I thought they'd back Iraola a little bit more than they have by now. United squad, way too threadbare, way too thin. Tottenham obviously have got a lot of stuff to go. I'm quietly interested to see what they do, because we're going to get onto them in the top four. But in terms of the title, there is absolutely no doubt in my mind that Arsenal win quite comfortably. I think the price is a little bit too low to take. I don't know. I confess I haven't checked it, but if you can get anything like 2.5, I would advise you to take it. But closer to even money at this stage, it's a little bit short. Cool. Top four. I'll go first because you kicked off that one. I've got two anti-post bets for you here, which I think you're going to really like. But look, I'm really worried about United. I'm a big United fan, and as you know, and I just think that United made a massive mistake in retaining Michael Carrick. The more I think about this, right? I do, and I'll tell you why. Because ultimately, when you think of Michael Carrick, what's the best thing that you can say about him as a manager? It's things like he's calm, he's a cool head, he doesn't get carried away, he manages the media well. It's stuff like this. Happy days, that's great, but ultimately that is not traits of a world-class manager. United do not have a world-class manager. They also do not have a world-class squad. The players that they bought this summer, Tielemans, Santos, not bad players, but they are players competing for a top four spot, nothing more. And there's a manager, again, not in the same bracket as an elite manager. So I think United, actually, I've got them in sixth. Moving up to fifth, I've got Liverpool under Iraola. Again, I think Iraola is a quality manager, but you remember at Bournemouth first year, he lost his first 8 games. It takes him time to adapt, time to settle. Bournemouth were very patient with him. Will he get that same level of patience at Liverpool? I don't know. I think that he will be a success at Liverpool, by the way. And fifth in his first year isn't a complete disaster. So I think he'll make it work. But this year I see them just outside the top four. In fourth, then, I see Man City. Again, Enzo Maresca, huge drop-off. Losing Rodri is absolutely massive. I think Elliot Anderson was way overpriced for what he is. I think he's a good footballer. I'm not on his hype train. And I think they're going to take a year. You look at David Moyes when he came to United after Ferguson. He's an excellent manager, but ultimately trying to fill those shoes is too big. And losing Guardiola, the drop-off is inevitable. Nothing that can be done about it. It is coming for Man City this season. But they will still come fourth. Third place, Tottenham Hotspur. All right? Just take a breath. Take a breath. So here's why. Number one, no other European football to contend with. Number two, very, very aggressive transfer market, right? They've really improved and sorted out the spine of that team. They've got rid of the bad egg Romero that didn't want to be there. They've replaced with Van Hecke, who's an excellent signing.
But realistically, how you can't make that much improvement over the season?
I'm glad you said that, because I've got a great answer. 2 years ago, United finished 16th in the Premier League. I think
Yep.
15th, 16th. Where did they finish last year?
Yeah, I mean,
So why can't Tottenham do the same? I would argue that Tottenham have a better manager than United had. I would argue that Tottenham have been more aggressive in the transfer window than United have. And I would argue that other teams competing are weaker this time than they were last year. Why can't Tottenham finish third?
uh, they definitely will improve on last year, but they're not. They're not going to be that high. Not third.
I think we're looking at a completely different Tottenham outfit, one that we've seen in recent anything that we can remember in our
I think they'll
lifetime.
finish maybe like 8th or 9th.
I think it's
It's
too
going
low.
to take a bit of time. You keep forgetting that Tottenham's a mess as a club.
They're less of a mess. They're less of
Yeah,
a
less
mess.
of a mess. Yeah,
They've sorted
and
out their
look,
manager.
I think the Serbi showed that when he was at Brighton, right? If he's in a bad mood and something upsets him, he makes that known, right? And he can have a little strop and leave the club.
He can, but at the
And
moment,
that's quite a possibility at Spurs, right?
it is, and that's one way it could go. But what I would also say is that the club are backing him. Like they've never backed a manager in the last 20,
Yeah,
30
yeah.
years.
That's look. I mean, look. If your club barely survived relegation, all of a sudden you're going to start pouring money in, right? They were going to back whoever came in. They were just going to spend.
I think if you look at them in the key positions, you've got the likes of Van de Ven and Van Hecke, the Dutch partnership at the back. You've got Porro, you've got Doggy. That's a quality backline.
Super green link, the green link on FIFA, isn't it?
You look at the
Dutch
centre
partnership at the
midfield.
back.
They are stacked in central midfield. No, Spurs. I mean, did they overpay for Fernandes and Tonali? Yes. But have they
Yes.
still got those players in? Yes. I think they can have a really good season and take advantage of feelings of clubs around them. So I've got Spurs in third. And they're my first tip, actually. As a top 4 finish, you can get Spurs at 4.55 on the Betfair Exchange. I'm putting that up as an official anti-post tip. Coming in second, then, I've got Chelsea. I think the board, as I've mentioned, the board not only getting rid of Maresca, having City pay them for Maresca, having Maresca himself pay them, having Maresca issue a public apology, and then going and getting an upgrade, that is absolutely dynamite from the Chelsea board. And we give them so much stick. They haven't had the credit for that they really deserve. They've also bought quite shrewdly. And I'm really intrigued to see how Morgan Rogers and Cole Palmer play together. I know it's going to happen, but I don't know how. And as I said, I think Lacroix is an excellent signing. They also do not have European football. I think Chelsea are very likely to finish second. Still, by the way, miles behind Arsenal. And this brings me on to my long shot tip of a tricast. Tread very carefully with this one because the odds are 200 to 1. Arsenal first, Chelsea second, Tottenham third. So
I think you'll lose. I think you get 2 out of 3 there, and I wouldn't put Spurs in that.
Okay.
Anyone else got Spurs?
Even if what you're saying is correct, that the prices, I'm happy to have a swing at that because I think it is. I think there's value in it. Whether it's going to happen is another story, but at 200s, I think it's value. Come on, then. What's your top 4?
Where do you want me to start from? The top or the bottom? Maybe I'll do from the top. Might be a bit easier.
Go on, then.
I think my top 4 is pretty nailed on, and then the next 2, TBC. So Arsenal will definitely finish first, I think. I still think City will finish second because I feel like, look, while Chelsea will be better under Alonso, I think there's still a lot there for him to do. Still, I don't think the club's probably in the place where it should be. And look, maybe he might turn around, but it's a big job to do. So I think Chelsea will finish third. I think Liverpool will have a good year, and they will finish 4th. And then I got some rogue outside shots here. I got look, even though this team are playing in Europe, I think the way they've set up Boatwell, yeah, this one team's playing in Europe, the other one's not.
Oh, please don't say who I think you're going to say. He's bringing the bees to the party.
No, hold on. I got these 2 teams rated very, very closely, and it's Brighton and Brentford. Look, I know Brighton are playing in a Conference League, but look, they'll be able to manage. They're a club that's really well run. Conference League as well, quite easy. I think they've got a squad for that. And Brentford, I think this could be Brentford's year where they finish in the European places. Last year, narrowly missed out. This year, we've strengthened the squad quite well. We've got extra depth. We just signed Sangari as well as a defensive midfielder. He's a player we've been missing for quite a few years now. I think this could be a year where there's not that many teams that on paper you can be like, yeah, they're definitely going to be up there. Obviously, Arsenal, City, Chelsea, you could say that. But apart from that, there's quite a few question marks, right? I mean, even Chelsea and City, there's a bit of a question mark, right? Mm-hmm. It could be a good year. You got teams like Newcastle, they're going to struggle. They've been raided hard. Tottenham, I'm not convinced. They'll probably finish top 8, something like that, but I can't see them getting top 4, something like that. You got teams like Bournemouth, who played really well last season. Again, they're playing in Europe, though. Forest, you can argue, it's a big job that Glasner's got. They're not in Europe, but I can't see them improving massively. Maybe they'll finish top half, but I think Brentford and Brighton have a good chance to kind of have a really good year and upset a few pundits.
I think that the problem that they have is Europe. I think that it's the first time, particularly Brentford, and I think that they'll really want to enjoy Europe.
Who?
I think Champions League is beyond.
Who? What?
I think
first time in Europe.
Say again?
You said one of the teams is the first time in Europe.
Brentford.
No.
Oh, whatever. But ultimately, it's the first time in recent memory.
Brighton. They've already in the Conference League already before, right? First time in a very long time, or was it Europa League? But then Brentford, nothing.
Bottom line is, they're both going to be, for me, they'll really want to enjoy their season in Europe. They can't make Champions League, either of them. So ultimately, I think most of the eggs will go into the European basket. And these competitions are drawn out and long and lots of games. I'm not completely convinced.
What about Brentford? They're not in Europe.
Oh, you're not in Europe this season, are you? Sorry, my bad. Yeah, completely got that wrong. Okay, I like it a little bit more then. Interesting. I still think you've got them too high. And just to finish my own train of thought, obviously neither of us have mentioned Villa, and God knows where you have United finishing then by your rankings.
I've got United 7th.
Okay, thank God for that. But anyway, one thing I was going to say, neither of us have mentioned Aston Villa, and obviously a drop-off is coming there. And what I'm really annoyed, when I'm talking about Carrick not being retained, what I wanted to finish by saying was United should have gone and got Unai Emery. That should have been our move. Unai Emery is the only other elite manager in the Premier League, and we could have got him because I think he's taken Villa as far as he can go, and I'm shocked that nobody went and got him. If United had gone in and got Emery, I'd have them top 3 this year, but they didn't do that, and that was a major mistake. That's why Chelsea, for me, can finish second. They went and got an elite manager. We didn't. Let's go and talk about relegation. Do you want to kick off? Who have you got to go down?
I think Sunderland are going to struggle. That they finished in European places, but the underlying numbers were quite poor. My underlying numbers say they're probably 17th best team. If they weren't in Europe, they'd probably be fine. But they're in Europa League. It's massive, right? They're going to be focused on that to get Champions League, so that's going to have a massive impact. They haven't really signed a lot of players. I don't think they will probably cope with the depth. So they could be down there. Hull, terrible. I think they're probably the worst Championship side to go up. If you look at expected points and stuff like that, they were just really bad last year. But they managed to win games and luckily not concede narrowly. So they will definitely go down. And then not sure who else. I think Coventry, Ipswich will look decent this year. They're going to be obviously down there, but I think one team that might get pulled in is Fulham.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm not convinced with Fulham. Not even last year. Look, they lost Silva. He's been at the club for 5 years. Kind of kept him ticking along. They're at a quite pivotal time at the moment, and I think they could be in trouble.
I agree with a lot of that. I mean, Ipswich today made a really good signing of Julio Enciso. He joins them, and
Oh, you love that guy.
he's
Bloody
a good
hell.
player, and definitely want to keep an eye on in the shots on target market. I guarantee you
Outside
that.
the area. Bosh.
I love it. So does he. Loves a pop. Loves a pop from range, mate.
Yeah.
But listen, I think that I agree. Ipswich and Coventry, whether they both stay up, either will stay up, remains to be seen, but they'll put a fight. But I think there's a lot of teams this year in danger of being sucked in. I completely agree with what you said about Sunderland. I think Palace
Yeah,
are in
Palace. Yeah, Palace.
you know,
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, they've lost Lacroix, right? Ismail Assar was majestic for that side last year. I don't see how he can keep up the same level of performance. I mean, I hope he does. He's in my fantasy team, but I think he'll struggle to replicate quite as good form. And then, they've sold Lacroix, their leader, their mainstay. I really, really worry for Palace. I also really
and they
worry.
lost arguably the best manager in the league, right?
Agree.
One of the best
You
managers.
know
So
how
there
you
you
know
go.
how big a fan I am of Oliver Glasner, and that is a major coup for Nottingham Forest. So I think Palace are bang in trouble. I think Bournemouth are in trouble as well. There's only so many years you can go selling your best players year in, year out. They've now lost the man that was essentially knitting them together in Iraola, and it would not surprise me at all to see Bournemouth go down. So you've got Sunderland, as you talked about. Fulham, I agree with as well. Losing Marco Silva is a big one. Losing Harry Wilson as well, who was responsible for so much of their creativity. So I really do worry for a set of those teams. And I have got two bets here, anti-post, to attack. I want to attack Palace at sixes. Sorry, no, Palace at sevens to go down, which I think is a very fair price. And Bournemouth at 14.5. I think I've got Palace at seven. Palace at sevens
Yeah.
on 365 and Bournemouth 14.5 on the Betfair Exchange. I definitely think they're both worth a swing. They both will give you a run. Promise you. The upheaval, the change in again Bournemouth. You look at Southampton when they had that incredible youth setup and youth program. All these players coming through, and Pochettino held it together for so long. And then Pochettino left, and they just collapsed one year. Would not be surprised if it happened with Bournemouth. So that's my shouts there. And get those bets on. Don't regret it. I'm going to play a little game with you now, which I'm calling top half, bottom half. So I'm going to reel off a couple of teams just very quickly. I want one word, well, 2 word answers. Top half or bottom half from you. Okay? Ready?
Okay.
Leeds.
Top
Everton.
half. Bottom.
Villa.
Bottom.
Newcastle.
Bottom.
Forest.
Bottom.
Brighton. I know you're going
Top.
to say top. Sunderland, you're going to say bottom. And Brentford,
Bottom.
you're going to say top. Okay. Cool. Handicap market. Anything else that you got that you want to touch on?
Yeah, so I've actually backed Brentford at top half. I got 2.6 earlier in the week, but they've gone down to 2.5. I think that's a really good bet. Like I said, I can only see us improving from last year, and we comfortably finished in the top half last year. I think Leeds as well. I think Leeds had a good season last year. They played well. I know they've lost a few players, but they've also strengthened in somewhat.
Again,
They
Harry
got
Wilson.
Yeah, look, Harry Wilson, but look, he was massively overperforming, I'd say. They got a good goalkeeper. James Trafford's joined as well, so that's huge. So I got Leeds top half as well. You can get that at 3.6 last time I checked. And then the only other bet I have, well, 2 bets I have, Brentford plus 29 on the handicap. So I think this could be a goer. Is that you can get odds of 19, and you can get it each way, so you can do the quarterly odds as well. I think for Brentford to win this,
What do you need for each way on that? Then top 4 or something?
so top 4 each way on their handicap. So the way it works is each team has its own handicap. So for example, Brentford start with 29. I think Arsenal don't have a handicap at all, or it's like +1 or something like that. But anyway,
No,
I've
they're
done
zero, they're
kind of
zero.
run my simulations, and Brentford's have quite a decent value, I think. And I think for them to win it, they probably need around 60 points, I'd say. So it's only a few point improvement from last year. And all they need is get top 4, right, which is doable. So I think I'm on that as well at odds of 19, and also a bit of a rogue one here. You know, I like my goal scorer bets, and I was very close with Thiago last year at 250 to 1.
You were.
Got
That
it
was
each
an
way, though.
unbelievable shot, by the way.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Right, steady now.
I've gone for another player here, another Brentford player. I think this could be his year. Thiago's just too short now. It's 12. How mental is that? It was 250 to 1 last year. Now he's 12. So you're not even going to bother touching that. So I've gone with Kevin Schade at 250 to 1 again. So again, this is very much a big long shot, and I don't expect him to win, but he could easily sneak in the top 4 there.
I mean, you're kind of looking at these prices, and you think that Brentford and Brighton are so undervalued by the markets that in turn it pushes their top goal scorer prices up. So should we also be looking at the likes of a small tickle on the likes of Jadon Anthony, or the likes of Jorginho Rutter at Brighton, or the likes of Ukuba Minte, these kind of players as well?
I think it depends the way the team set up. I think Brentford, the way that we've set up, they've always had an out and out striker who's, you know, bang loads of goals, or like a winger. Mm-hmm. I think Brighton historically, they've kind of more shared the goals around.
Yeah.
So you have to factor that in, right? So it's a bit of both there. And look, Kevin Schade, I'm only punting it because he's 250 to 1. I think it's going to be really tight for him to get top 4, but this could be his year.
Yeah, thinking a little bit more about that, actually. Thiago's a really good focal point, and then you've got the likes of Schade that can run off him and create bags of chances that way. Whereas with Brighton, as you say, goals are more shared, and also losing Danny Welbeck doesn't help the other players feeding off.
Yeah.
Welbeck draws a lot of attention, so
Sure.
that is actually that's one thing about your Brighton tip that I don't love. I think Welbeck was so important for them, so that's something to note with him being gone.
Yeah, but look, you got to remember Brighton, they're along with Brentford, like 2 of the best run teams in the league, probably, right? If not the world, in terms of the recruitment, setup, everything. Obviously, Brentford's better, but yeah.
Of course you are, mate. Of course you are. Right.
But like I said, there's not, like I said, there's no team that like you'd be like, yeah, they're nailed on for that, apart from Arsenal. Every other team, there's like a debate going for. So I think this year could be a year where you see some teams who are on the up and could take advantage of that. I think it's going to be quite an exciting, quite exciting season. Apart from Arsenal,
there you have it.
obviously.
Surely all of the motivation that you need out there. Let's do a very quick recap. I'll go first in terms of bets. So I have got Spurs to finish top 4 at 4.55. I really, really like that one. I also have the tricast of Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs. London is calling at 200 to 1. Relegation, I really like Palace at 7.0 to go down, and I really like Bournemouth at 14.5. Bournemouth at 14.5 to go down might be my favourite bet of all there. You?
Cool. Yeah, I got Brentford top half. I think the latest price is 2.5. Leeds top half. I think the latest price is 3.2, something like that. Brentford plus 29 on the season handicap. That odds of 19. And then Schade top goal scorer each way, 250 to 1. Bash.
The Schade one excites me as well. I'll definitely be having a tickle there. And that's it from us. That's your pre-season preview of the Premier League 2026-27 done. Some really exciting stuff, some really good subplots around the title, around the top 4, top 6, and indeed relegation. Hopefully you're as excited about it all kicking off as we are. What big upset are you expecting in game week 1? Well, you don't have to wait too long to find out, because we're back in just a couple of days with all of the game week 1 preview each individual games and tips and bets that we have for the very first game week. So definitely stay tuned and keep a lookout for that. Meanwhile, it's goodbye from us. Get ready to enjoy your football and take care of yourselves.
Cheers.